Welcome to Charles Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 28th of February, comes to you from London. And the big question, I've had a lot of clients this morning messaging me, have European energy markets bottomed? We've seen a little bit of a recovery here in the price, and so that's really quite key. Have energy markets bottomed? We're going to focus on that today and what we need to look for. And of course, the key thing in answering this question is, what's your time horizon? That's a 60-minute chart. We've crossed above the cloud for the first time in several weeks. So markets are looking stronger on the very short term and the short term charts, but we're going to have a look at the medium term charts and just remembering this time horizon. And when we produce our reports, we do the monthly report, we look at daily and weekly. That will be out in the next few days. We look at the daily and the weekly charts. We're thinking weeks and months ahead. For the short-term analysis that we put out on the week, we're looking at the hourly and the daily charts. And then when we're looking at the reports that we put out every morning, we're looking at the very short-term 1 minute and 60-minute charts, which is why, today we've been bullish. And if you look at the targets here, we can just go straight away to emissions. We're above the cloud. We can see upside targets. These were the targets all kicking in yesterday. That's where we turned bullish in the very short term. More and more people using these targets. And really, it's just these thrusts that we're seeing in the market taking us above the cloud. So short term, we are bullish now. That's certainly a first. We've been below the cloud for most products for a while now, and we're now seeing short-term bullish, even on German power. So these are out in the reports, but let's look at it in terms of the charts. So just remember that time horizon. Short-term, we're now bullish. Very short-term is looking bullish, but the medium term has still got work to do, and that's the big question when we look at the charts. So it's really quite key, and we're looking at charts going right down to the 1 minute charts there. So it's really about understanding that. So first of all, we're going to look at Brent Crude because the oil price, of course, is the big mama of energy, and you want to see what's going on there. On the daily chart, we are waiting for this upside target to be activated. A move above 84 would activate this upside target to 100. We've already got 1 to 98. These downside targets are now not in play. So it's now looking to the last targets. They're the more important targets. And we are seeing here, we've got to break that 84 high there on the 60-minute chart. And then, of course, if we look at gas prices, similarly, we've got these upside targets just starting to kick in. We had some very big downside targets on gas. We are still below the cloud on the daily. So before you get too excited, we are still below the cloud medium term for gas prices. So this short-term move may just be a blip, and we've got to be aware of that. A quick look at coal, just another thing in the energy mix. This has looked very bearish on the daily chart. We do have a new upside target on the 60-minute, not through the cloud yet. And of course, the key thing is the 60-minute charts will turn before the daily charts do. But coal is still, despite this upside target, we are still below the cloud. And look at carbon. If we look at the European carbon contract, we still have this big downside target of 44.72, and a lot of people find that target very hard to believe. Just remember, when we've had these recoveries in the carbon price, this is the daily chart, just remember when we've had these recoveries in the price, we really have seen there's moves up, counter trend, not getting through the cloud, setting us up for the next big move down. So this is what this could be. We could be seeing a counter trend move setting us up for the next move down. So whilst the short-term charts are looking more bullish, we've got to be aware that we could be setting ourselves up for the next wave lower. And if we look at carbon on the 60-minute chart, we see here we've really been below the chart all this time on carbon. This is the 60-minute contract on the carbon contract. Been below the cloud all this time. We just did nudge above the clouds very slightly, but this is really the first time where we've just started to see some movement above the cloud. So if anything, it just says we're bullish short term, but medium term we're still neutral. So that's really the way we think about things in the report. And if we look at the UK carbon contract, that's also just starting to show signs of some upside targets there. Downside targets still there on the daily, multiple downside targets. has been more bearish than the European contract. We are just starting to see upside targets there as well, and so that's really quite key. And of course, if you're trading carbon, then you will want to look to the shorter term chart. So this is the 1 minute chart, and you can see here yesterday all these targets, well, really on Monday, these targets all started kicking in Friday, Monday, and then more targets there kicking in on the 1 minute chart. So if you're trading carbon, you want to be looking at these, and that's what more and more European energy traders are doing. They're looking at these targets and making the decisions based on the targets as they kick in live real time on the chart. So that's what the 1 minute chart looks like for carbon. That's on the on the UK contract. If we look at the European contract, interestingly here, if we look at the 1 minute chart for the European price, we saw the targets kicking in later. So that UK contract has started to become quite an interesting one to compare. We can see here the price ticking away in real time. We've got an upside target that's been met. We've got a downside target. At the moment, it's all about the upside. We're bullish today. We're up 2% now. We were bullish in the report on carbon because we had all these upside targets this morning first thing, and that's really what's gone on there. So really quite key to watch that. And that's the 10-minute chart. We're waiting for this upside target to activate, and that would give us further credence. So you need to be looking at these different time horizons. Very important when you're coming to look at the charts. So that's the 1 minute chart. Let's go back to the 60-minute and the daily. So here we've got the carbon price, gas. Now, of course, this is really one of the key things to be watching in Europe. If we look at TTF gas, we see here on the daily, we still do have this big downside target there. And we can just zoom in on that chart. We see there we've got this big downside target, and it's pointing lower still. So on the daily chart, we are still below the cloud. There's a downside target all the way down to 14.70. Let's say 15 euros. Not many people can believe that, but if we make new lows, then we'll be looking to that target. That's really how we use the targets. We're watching for the new lows to activate that. Notice on the 60-minute, there's a shortage of short-term targets. So that's really quite interesting. Got these upside targets now kicking in. We're above the cloud. So short term, we're bullish. And again, if we go to the 1 minute for gas, looking really, really quite interesting there. Upside targets being given. Hitting a bit of resistance just right now and around that 25.10 level. But that's really how you use the targets. And as I say, more and more people are using these. It's really quite key. So last of all, we take a look at power. Nordic Power gave bullish signals earlier this week. And it's always good to look at the different power contracts. But here we look at the daily chart on the EX. We do have this target of 45. We haven't got there yet. And of course, 50 is a very important psychological level. As with this target of 45, because 70 is a very psychologically important level. This is on the daily. A shortage of recent targets there. And if we go to the 60-minute, we see here again, we've got these bullish moves, but unlike gas and carbon, we don't have upside targets there. If we go to the 1 minute chart, we see here that on the 1 minute chart, we do have again the targets just kicking in yesterday, the 26th, and again today, just pointing higher. That's how you use the targets. And so the big question is, have we bottomed? And the answer is on the short-term charts, we are seeing the moves through the cloud for the first time in several weeks. Remember, this happened previously, and then we made new lows and went lower. The medium-term picture is still bearish. The short-term picture is looking better. We need to watch now for a succession of higher highs and higher lows fall through this 2350 level, which we identified in our report this morning. That would be bad for the price, and of course we'd be back below the cloud, and ultimately we have to hold this 23 level. So the answer is short term, yes, they have bottomed. Medium term, not yet. You've got to wait. So hopefully that helps you. Because you're making your trading decisions and you want to use the targets, just let me know. More and more traders using them. Really, really powerful. Hopefully you can see that for yourself. Until next time, bye for now.